Hello, and welcome to another edition of All or Not According to Jack, with your host, Jack Toledano. So you see that I currently do not have a background, and I will get into why I don't. I'll turn a background on in a little while, but we're going to start without one. But basically, I started this channel in mid-December, and it's now May 4th. And I've now put 52 videos out. And what was I going to say? I've been meaning to do this topic for the longest time, but I was holding it for the right time. And basically, it is about these guys, Judas Priest. So basically, they just finished a tour not too long ago here in the US and Canada. And I figured now would be a good time to do my ranking the albums of Judas Priest. So basically, there's 18 albums. Unfortunately, I'm missing 6 of those CDs. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to show them to you in this book, this wonderful book that Martin Popoff sold to me. Beautiful book. You got to get it if you're a Priest fan. But basically what I'm going to do is, so it's a visual biography, and it's got covers of all the albums. So what I'm going to do from 18 down to 11, and where I don't have the album, I'm going to show it to you in the book. So my number 18, and let me also preface it by saying that, there are a couple of controversial albums, particularly Turbo and Nostradamus, that Priest fans are iffy on, but neither one of those are on my bottom of the list. My bottom of the list is this one, Point of Entry, number 18. Why is it my number 18? Now, granted, they were after they had some success with British Steel, and they were starting to garner a bigger audience. They decided to go a little more commercial, and I just don't know what the hell they were thinking with songs like "Don't Go," "Turning Circles," "You Say Yes," "All the Way." Come on, that's not Judas Priest. I started to like them in '79, and I would say that was my first disappointing album in '81, Point of Entry. Pretty much the only 2 songs that really saved that album for me were Heading Out to the Highway and Hot Rockin'. So number 17, Demolition. I don't care for it. The album is, produced and arranged by Glenn Tipton, and I would say half the album was written solely by Glenn Tipton, because K.K. Downing didn't, after he helped them write about 6 or 7 songs, and then kind of lost interest in the project. So this came across to me as more of a Glenn Tipton solo album. And this was Rip Owen's second album, but Machine Man, where he says, "So you motherfuckers want to race?" I mean, come on, Glenn. Cheesy lyrics to be sure. One on One, okay. Hell is Home, just, I'm sorry. This album just didn't grab me. Of course, Ripper's other album would score much higher. So, we'll get to that. Number 16, go to page 131. For this album, Ram It Down. So I did see them on that tour. And in 2005, they did play the song "I'm a Rocker" when I saw them on that tour. But Problem with this album was kind of in a transition between Turbo and Painkiller. Some of the songs were recorded during the Turbo sessions. Johnny Be Good. I mean, I don't think it had any place being in a Priest catalog. Again, another album that just didn't grab me. But like I said, Blood Red Skies, the title track, I'm a Rocker, Johnny Be Good. Pretty much nothing else really memorable. So on to number 15. That would go to page 29. Separate the page. This album, Rockarola. Huh, look at KK Downing in that fedora and that SG that he's playing. Too funny. But yeah, Rockarola. I mean, not really a terrible album, but Priest didn't really find themselves yet. I mean, there are some songs that I kind of like. One for the Road was okay. Rockarola, Never Satisfied, Run of the Mill, which I thought was probably the best song on the album. Cheater wasn't too bad. I didn't care for, Deep Freeze, KK Downing's little, minute and a half of distortion. What are you going to do? So that was number 15. 14, we go to this album, Turbo. Not a bad album by any stretch. I don't think it is. I mean, I don't care for Turbo Lover. I wish they wouldn't play it so much in concert, but I like Private Property, cheesy as it may be. I like Parental Guidance, Rock You All Around the World. Out in the Cold is probably their best song on the album. Wild Nights, Hot and Crazy Days, Reckless. I mean, not too bad. You know, they were trying to cash in on the whole hair metal thing, but whatever. The tour was successful. Reckless, they could have used it they could have given it up for the movie Top Gun. Who knows how successful that would have made them, but they chose to keep it on Turbo. What are you going to do? Next album, number 13, Nostradamus. So Nostradamus, funny thing about Nostradamus. So I have a coworker who calls me Nostradamus because of my proclivity being able to predict system happening. So I'm in computer operations, and I have this ability to predict that I built this model to be able to predict when these jobs that we run would finish, and pretty balls on accurate, if I may say so myself. So that's where I got the title Nostradamus. And of course, he didn't know I was a big Priest fan, and they had an album called Nostradamus, but it's controversial. Some would say that it's crap. I give them an E for effort because you know what? They tried to do something different, and you gotta. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. If you keep playing the same old thing, there are people that are going to say, they just keep playing the same old thing. But they tried something a little different. So songs that I like, Prophecy, War, Death, Persecution, I think is a great song. The title track, Nostradamus, which they never played in concert. I never understood that. But what are you going to do? So this came in at number 13 for me. Next two albums, we're going to go back to the book. So number 12, I don't have to go too far. We just go to page 40. Sin After Sin. And again, not really a bad album. I mean, there are some songs that I don't really care for. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Diamonds in Rust or Last Rose of Summer, but I love Sinner, Starbreaker, Let Us Pray / Call for the Priest, and of course, Dissident Aggressor. All great songs. So they did do a good job. So for this album was their third album, their first with Columbia Records. You know, they finally got some money, you know, eating money, which Gold wouldn't give them. And I guess they didn't have to sleep in their vans anymore. Thank God. Happy for them. All righty. So number 11, we go to page 181. For Angel of Retribution. A nice little stage shot with KK Downing in front of the spotlight there. Angel of Retribution. So that's a decent album. You know, it was the first album, you know, it was a nice return for Rob Halford. You had Judas Rising, songs that I like, Deal with the Devil, Hell Rider. What's the other one? Revolution. I think I said Hell Rider. Even Worth Fighting For, Mid Rocker. I thought it was pretty good. I didn't care for Loch Ness, but like I said, not a bad comeback album. So now we're going to go to my background for the remaining top 10. And there you go. So you see KK, Ian, Rob, Scott, and Glenn. I love this picture. So number 10, and this is an album that I had autographed because when they released this album, they had an autograph signing on the day that it came out in Times Square in New York City at the Hard Rock Cafe, selling on behalf of FYE, which is their mom and pop stores have all closed, but yet they were still there to sell Redeemer of Souls. On that particular occasion, I met Rob, Glenn, and Richie. It was thrilled to be able to meet those guys. I got online at 10 a.m. that day for the 5 p.m. signing. So, but something off my bucket list. As for songs, let's talk about the songs. Dragon On. The first 5 songs I love. Dragon On, Redeemer of Souls, Halls of Valhalla, Sword of Damocles, March of the Damned. Yeah, good stuff. Even some of the bonus discs on disc 2, Snake Bite, Never Forget, Creatures. Good stuff. Number 9, Hellbent for Leather. So this album is the first studio album that I've ever listened to by Priest. So I saw them open for Kiss in '79, not having ever heard anything they've ever done. Well, like maybe a week or two later, my friend who I went to the concert with bought this album, lent it to me. I heard it. I basically fell in love with it by the second song. You know, I listened to Delivering the Goods and Rock Forever. I'm like, oh, wow, these guys are really good. This was about the time I was kind of losing interest in Kiss. So thank God these guys came along. Evening Star is great. Hellbent for Leather, Green Manalishi, Killing Machine, Running Wild. I don't care for Evil Fantasies, but most of this album, good shit. Oh yeah. They tried to go in a little bit more of a radio-friendly direction. You know, they kept the heaviness, but songs were a little more concise and, you know, a little simpler. Okay, number 8. And I'm a little surprised that this album was number 8 and wasn't higher. Screaming for Vengeance. Not a bad album. I mean, I got to give this album credit. It really put them on the map and enabled them to be able to sell out hockey arenas of, 18, 20,000 people. So that's really cool. Songs that I like, Hellion Electric Eye, Riding on the Wind. I love Bloodstone. I don't like Pain and Pleasure. Screaming for Vengeance I like. Devil's Child, great song. Of course, there's You've Got Another Thing Coming, which I can take it or leave it, but it kind of helped put them on the map, on FM radio. Gave them that important airplay that they needed to expand their audience. So kudos for that. Number 7. And so this one was released in 2018, and I give these guys a world of credit for coming up with something this good in 2018. Firepower. Amazing, amazing album. Iron Maiden, take some notes. This is what you could be doing, something like that. First 3 songs are killer. Firepower, Lightning Strike, Evil Never Dies, Never the Heroes is good. And then this trio of songs from side 2, from the second half of the album: Flamethrower, Spectre, Traitor's Gate, No Surrender. Kick ass, really kick ass. I'm going to show you the back. Of course, it's got the priest cross, which I like. Firepower. Number 7. Number 6. So after Turbo and Ram It Down, they needed to make a statement. They needed to give us, something more classic Priest, and they did. Painkiller. Awesome. I remember Pete calling me and saying, "Oh, you got to check out this new album." This was in 1989, 1990. And yeah, he was right. Killer. Painkiller, Hell Patrol, All Guns Blazing, Metal Meltdown, Nightcrawler, Between the Hammer and the Anvil. I Don't Care for a Touch of Evil, but I like One Shot at Glory, which they're actually used as their concert opener on this most recent 50th anniversary tour. Great album. What's next? Number 5. This may be a little bit of a surprise for you. At number 5, Jugulator. There are some people that, and I read all the comments on the Judas Priest sites on Facebook, some very opinionated people. "Oh, Ripper Owen sucks, and he's no good, and he's not Rob Halford." You got to remember, though, he helped keep this band alive when Rob was off doing his own thing. So this is a killer album for me. It's probably one of their heaviest albums. We've got the title track, Jugulator, killer. Bloodstained, which they played in concert. Dead Meat. I can't even read. Death Row, great song. What else? Bullet Train, and of course, my favorite on this album, Cathedral Spires. Amazing freaking song. Probably their longest, best song. Right? Clocks in at like 9 and change, but I love it. great epic. Number 4, and let's see if I can just show you. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna take the background off because I don't want to waste anybody's time trying to show you the cover of this album. So let's take the background off. Okay. I regret that this album is amongst the missing British Steel, but it's a great album nevertheless. So I will put the background back on for you. So what do I like about British Steel? I love Rapid Fire, Metal Gods, Grinder, The Rage, Stealer, all great songs. Living After Midnight, you got to give that song credit because that kind of put them on the map on rock radio. Really, probably the only song I don't really care for is Breaking the Law, but that's if you look at their stats on Spotify, that is their most requested song now. Over the years, it gained in popularity, but British Steel, monumental album for 1980. I loved it. Number 3. This album, same as my shirt, Defenders of the Faith. So right now, the month of May, Pete is doing this project on a daily basis where he talks about the best album side. It is, I guess, his 31 best album sides for the month of May. This one would qualify for me. Side 1, Killer. Freewheel Burning, Jawbreaker, Rock Hard Ride Free, and The Sentinel. Amazing, amazing songs, one right after the other. Side 2, I mean, Love Bites and Eat Me Alive, they're okay. Some Heads Are Gonna Roll is okay. Night Comes Down, which is a great song, and I heard it in the Oddest of Places. So my wife and I had flown to Arizona, and we had just picked up our rental car in Phoenix, and we decided to make a beeline and drive right down to Tombstone that day. And on the way down, it's the first time I ever heard Night Comes Down on FM radio. It was pretty cool. Of course, Heavy Duty, Defenders of the Faith, I think are great, but Side 1, absolutely killer. They would get themselves banned from Madison Square Garden on this tour, regrettably. Some rabid fans started ripping the seats apart and throwing them all over the freaking arena. So it was bedlam. Seats all over the freaking stage. So unfortunately, Priest were told never to come back to Madison Square Garden ever again. So legend has it that both Glenn and KK snuck back in. We're in New York on another occasion and snuck into the garden with like baseball caps, trying to, hide themselves. There was a tennis match that they wanted to see, and supposedly one of the security guards or ushers recognized them and came up to them and said, "Oh, thank you for the new seats, guys." Too funny. Number 2. So I'm going to show you. I have a background for this one. This is number 2. Sad Wings of Destiny. This is a monumental album for 1976. Not only did it really showcase how heavy they were, This is more of what I would consider a prog metal, a prototype of a prog metal album for its time. Victim of Changes, The Ripper. I love the suite of Dreamer, Deceiver, and Deceiver. I love the suite of Prelude and Tyrant. Epitaph I don't care for, but that transition from Epitaph into Island of Domination, killer as well. Great album. Go, you're foolish for not supporting them better and letting them leave. But great album. So we're going to go back one more time to, and I think you know what my number one is. Stained Class. Amazing album. This, and no, I did not look at Pete's ranking the albums of Judas Priest before I put mine together. I mean, what can you say about an album that has Exciter, Stained Class, Saints in Hell? So side 2 of this album is a great album, album side in its own right. Saints in Hell, Savage, Beyond the Realms of Death, and even Hero's End. All great freaking songs. I mean, Beyond the Realms of Death, it's got that probably the best killer dual lead guitars, by Glenn and KK. Exciter, probably their early fine example of speed metal. The title track, Stained Class. I never got to see Priest play that, but I did get to see Rob play that when he had his band Halford and they opened for Iron Maiden at the Garden. Ironically, they did add what the heck is it? Invader to the most recent tour. So there's that. So we're going to run through these again really quick. Number 18, Point of Entry. Number 17, Demolition. Number 16, Ram It Down. 15, Rock-a-Rolla. 14, Turbo. 13, Nostradamus. 12, Sin After Sin. 11, Angel of Retribution. 10, Redeemer of Souls. 9, Hellbent for Leather. 8, Screaming for Vengeance. 7, Firepower. 6, Painkiller. 5, Jugulator. 4, British Steel. 3, Defenders of the Faith. 2, Sad Wings of Destiny. And of course, number 1, Stained Class. So that is that concludes the ranking of the albums of the great Judas Priest. I hope you enjoyed it. Please put your comments in the comments section. If you like what I do, please subscribe. Let me know how I'm doing. Constructive criticism is always good. Deconstructive criticism, not so good. Have a good night, all. Ciao.